Well, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to Ballinamore for this afternoon's Late Bite lunch. We have an absolutely cram-full show for you today and a great range of guests. Joining us today, I'm delighted to have Ailish Kelly from Sai Jewellery, John Murray, photographer, and if I can get it right, Sai photographer or Sai photology. Sure, he'll tell us more about that in a couple of minutes. We have Maggie Geraghty from Mayo Calligraphy. We've Trish Ryan from Dowland Crafts, and we have Zara from Wildflower Prints. So now that we've got my tongue around the tongue twisters, what we're going to do is give each guest a couple of minutes just to tell us a little bit about who they are and what they do. So we'll start with yourself, Ailish.
Okay. Hi everybody, I'm Ailish from She Jewellery. I'm based in Carbery, County Kildare, and every piece I make is made on my kitchen table here at home. There was a time when we used to have our dinner on the table, but now it's just covered in bling and glitz. It's lovely. So there are three parts to my business. The first part being weddings. So I make memorial jewellery for weddings, so like bouquet clips and with photographs of your past loved ones that you can attach them to your bouquet and have your family members walking you up the aisle, even though they're not with you any longer. So that's a lovely part of my business. And then another part of my business is where I infuse the ashes and hair of past loved ones as well. Again, you can always have your loved one with you. I also do earth and sand. Now, these are very special. So you can always have a little bit of home with you or your favorite place, or they're just very special and lovely. And then my last part of my jewelry business is just gifts that are aesthetically pretty, but all have a lovely little meaning. I have a beautiful mother image. It's the oldest representation of the word mother, found carved onto a stone in Riosc in County Kerry in the 4th century BC. And I have that image on a pendant, and on the back I have a beautiful quote. It says, "To the world you are a mother, but to your family you are the world." So my pieces all have a lovely little spiritual meaning, or a little bit of comfort, a little bit of encouragement. So that's kind of the three elements of my business, and I absolutely love my job. I love what I do. They say you never work a day in your life if you love what you do, and I'm lucky to be in that position.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank
Next
you for
up,
having me.
we're going to hear from John Murray.
Good afternoon, as I'm locked in my little prison cell of a soundstage in the studio. I mix behavioral sciences and photography together, and psychophotology is pretty much a made-up word because there's no other way of explaining somebody who mixes behavioral sciences and photography together. So I work with everybody from Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Hertz, eBay, Formula One Racing, Football Association in the UK, small businesses, coaches, everybody, pretty much. And I work with people to teach them about positive self-image and self-acceptance. So I do a lot of talks. I spoke at the Mental Health and Wellbeing Summit last year. Thankfully, Deepak Chopra was the keynote speaker, which was incredible to share a stage with. And other people like Marshall Goldsmith or Kingsley Aikens and other leadership thought leaders. So what I do is I spend a lot of time talking to people, working psychology, cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness training, neurolinguistic programming, anatomy, physiology, all together. And then we stand them in front of the camera and we teach them what they actually look like. And that's it, really. So I work with everybody from bank managers to Bond villains and kids with cancer and people with craniofacial prosthetics and pretty much everybody.
Absolutely brilliant. Thanks, John. I'm sure we're going to learn a huge amount from you throughout the course of the day. Next up, we have a very long-term friend of the show, Maggie Geraghty from Mayo Calligraphy. So tell us about the range of things you do, Maggie.
A range of things is that's it for sure, Rory. Thank you very much. We help people to preserve their precious memories with our professional writing service. That's the spiel. So whether that's photographs, memorial cards, booklets for weddings, booklets for funerals, birthdays, graduations, weddings, and on and on and on it goes. And then we have branched out to personalize glass items and resin items. So for Christmas now, I am promoting the Christmas glass baubles and the Christmas wine glasses, the festive stemware. We're asking people to get on our website and order early. I'd like to especially mention the Mayo Local Enterprise Office, who kindly supported me with the trading online voucher last year. And now my website is up and running, and it has a good WooCommerce store on it, and I'm really happy with that. So basically, anything you want something written on, we'll find a way to do it. Thanks, Rory.
That's absolutely brilliant. Thanks, Maggie. And next, coming from the northern perspective, we have Zara from Wildflower Prints.
Thanks, Rory. So I've only started Wildflower Prints this year, really to help me, and I have had found an absolute love for doing crafts. Everything personalised, from photo frames to clothing, and I just get lost in it. But I absolutely love being able to put thought in and put the little touches in to make a difference to what would seem like something that is quite standard. There's a lot of thought and a little bit of people's personality put into these items. Doing Christmas baubles at the minute, and I absolutely love them, and I'm looking for more and more ideas of what to do, especially for those pets. I am a bit dog crazy, but yeah, everything personalised with vinyl prints and all those kind of things. So yeah, that's it summed up.
Great, thanks. And also joining us to complete our lineup of all things crafty is Trish Ryan from Downland Crafts.
Hello. Downland Crafts is based in Killeshandra in Cavan, and predominantly we sell craft supplies for card makers and jewellery makers, a few other creative crafts like Pixel Hobby. But I also am a crafter myself, so I do make cards and jewellery. We also host craft and gift fairs in the Sleeve Russell Hotel in Ballyconnell in Cavan 3 times a year. Been going since 2004. I started crafting properly. I mean, I've always been crafty, doing a little bit here and there when I was a child. But I started making cards then in 2004. Got a bit addicted, like most crafters do. But then I was having trouble finding the supplies I wanted. So in 2010, my husband and I decided to set up Downland Crafts to help other people find the craft supplies they couldn't find. And then I started making jewellery, and I'm slightly obsessed with beading now. So I do a lot of beaded jewellery, which we sell at the craft fairs. And so you can find a lot of those supplies on the website as well. What else can I tell you? I think that's... one other thing I do is on Sunday nights on Twitter, we host a craft biz party, which is basically crafters with small businesses all around the globe, and we're on from 9 o'clock till 10:30. So if anyone is on Twitter and wants to join us, you are more than welcome. I run it with my best friend and also our top elf in Downland Crafts, Tanith. So thanks, Tan.
That's great. Thanks very much, Trish. So the first subject I want to get back to discussing, and it's coming back to you, John, is the cyphotology. Now, I know you say it is a made-up word, but for somebody who absolutely hates having their photograph taken, and I mean, I'm one of those people. I'm quite happy to come on here, talk away, host the show, no problem. It's great because Cheryl puts everything together in the background for me, and it just basically hands me what needs to be done. So on that side, it's great. But for someone like me who absolutely hates having their photograph taken, so I come into you, whether it's to get professional headshots done, or it's just to get family photos done or that type of thing. What would you say is the best way for me to be at ease coming in?
Bottle of brandy. I don't do family photographs, but it's it's one of those things that when we stand in front of the camera, we're faced with basically what's imposter syndrome. So we have a gap between how we see ourselves and what we think the rest of the world sees, and a gap between who we believe we are as opposed to who we believe the rest of the world expects us to be. And for some people, that gap is enormous, and for some, it's tiny. I get a lot of people come in here, and they come in and they start apologizing on the way in the door. I'm not photogenic. I hate my face. I hate my nose. I hate my ears. I hope you're good with Photoshop. I look a little bit like Shrek today. But, you know, all of that sort of stuff happens, and it happens regularly. And it's because, you know, the evidence as to what we look like or what we think we look like is wrong. Because when you see yourself in the mirror, you think you look like that, but you don't. Because you're the only person in the whole world who sees that image. So when you see a photograph of yourself, it's the wrong way around, and your brain wants to figure out why you don't look like you. So you search your face really quickly for one thing that explains it. When you find it, you blame it on making you feeling uncomfortable, and then you blame that thing every single time you see photographs of yourself on making you feel uncomfortable. But actually what's making you feel uncomfortable is empathy, because the person in the photograph is uncomfortable. So we have cells in our brain called mirror receptors that make us copy what we see off other people. So if you meet somebody who's happy, you're happy with them. If you meet somebody who's sad, you're sad with them. And if you meet somebody who's uncomfortable, you're uncomfortable with them. But the technology of cameras is only 200 years old, and mirrors is only 180 years old. But we've had eyeballs in our heads for 90 million years. So the visual representation of another animal or another human is the shape of the shoulders, the position the head is in, the eyebrows, the lower eyelids, the corners of the mouth. And we've been dealing with that for millions and millions of years. So when we do see a photograph of ourselves, we believe that's a person standing in front of us. And we need to know that. And we need to know that the camera and what the camera sees is all different and wrong. Like at the moment, this lens is at 24 millimeters wide. If I zoom it right in, actually, if I come up really close, you can see my head kind of warps and gets really long and my ears disappear off the side of my head. But if I zoom that right in, it probably won't focus. You can see how much wider my face got, and you can actually see my ears on the side of my head. So the evidence is all wrong as to what we think we look like, because the technology is just alien to whatever's going on inside here. So the big thing is to just stop caring. Like, because, you know, that thing on your face doesn't actually exist. If you think you've got a droopy mouth on one side, it's only because you're doing a Joey smile out of Friends. It's this kind of cocking up one side of your face because it's a dominant smile. And you're squeezing one eye as well. So people come in and say, oh, I've got a funny eye thing. This is a lazy eye. It's not. You're just squeezing on the wrong side of your face. Or you're only squeezing on one side, so it's fake. So to be honest, what I do to make people feel comfortable in themselves is I explain everything from step to step. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to counteract the failures in the technology. This is why you do the things you do. And then I just tell them to stop looking constipated, and I take photographs of them when they laugh.
Hey, whatever works, absolutely.
All of that to constipated. You know, I built it up and built it up and built it up, and then just said, you look constipated. That's it.
You should have told us that before we came on.
I know, all I want to do is this. Or this.
The good news, John, is that the not hearing gets it advances with age. So the older you get, the less you care about what people think of you.
Yeah, we're like an hourglass when, you know, as babies we're going around kissing mirrors and stuff, fascinated with how we look. And as we get older, we kind of taper in and we start apologizing for the things that we say and how we react in the world and how we're kind of surrounded by the world and the world affects us. And then as we get older again, we start to flower back out again and say, I don't care. Yeah. I don't want to listen to your shy jazz music. You know, I want to be me, and I want to do the things that make me happy. Yeah. It's just unfortunate that we go through the busiest time of our life, you know, teens into the 20s and the 30s, feeling uncomfortable and trying to conform to what everybody else around us is doing. There's a whole other talk on that, but yeah, as we get older, we get better.
We do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's, I mean, I find it fascinating, and listening to your various posts on LinkedIn and whatnot, I do find the whole subject fascinating of how the actual mind envisages all of this and totally misrepresents what is actually being seen. So that's why I was delighted when you were available to come on and talk to us. And of course, for you, would Christmas then be a particularly busy time for you, with people wanting new headshots for the new year, or?
Yeah, look, a lot of companies now are thinking about first quarter next year, getting bits and pieces done. You know, looking at the new budgets and stuff like that coming into Q1. I get a lot of that with corporates. I get a lot with government departments and stuff like that coming to the end of the year going, aha, we've all this money left we need to get rid of. And sure, I'm not going to say no. And then I get a little bit with vouchers. I just threw them up onto the website before because people are looking for vouchers sometimes. And I threw them up there just to stop people emailing me and asking me about them. They can just go on and buy them themselves. But yeah, other than camera switched off and back on. But yeah, other than that, it's I'm busy all year round. Like I was busy through COVID, busy through lockdowns and stuff with talks and things because I do this side of it as well. So yeah, it's a busy time of year for everybody.
John, have you, sorry to interrupt, have you seen a trend or a move towards people doing little video snips for headshots?
Not in here. It's not something that we do, but it's not even something we consider doing. But I've seen a few people posting them online. A lot of things that I've seen people using their video clips, the little GIFs that they've made on one of these heritage.com things, or where you can reanimate your dead family.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen a few of those and people using those with old photographs of themselves. I know a friend of mine sent me, there's a guy that I photographed a few years ago, a guy named Brian, the old man with the hat who's on all of my stuff. And everybody seems to know. And one of the guys sent me, he'd put that picture through this reanimation thing, which was kind of creepy, but it was kind of cool as well at the same time, you know. But I've seen a few of them, but I don't know, like, I think they're just UX designers, little dirty dreams, you know. They kind of think that these is a great thing for people to play with on the website for them. It's the next gimmick. Whereas, you know, it's very just like, I don't think it's going to be something that will last a very long time. It's just another filtery kind of thing. Because when you do go to, if you go to a conference and the person who is standing up talking in front of you has their headshot on the screen and it's moving around behind them, you're not going to be paying attention to them. You're going to be looking at the weird things that their faces are doing.
Yeah.
I can't talk about that. Thanks, Mike. Now I'm confused.
No. Well, one question that every guest that comes on the show is always asked is about their favourite light bite lunch. So we'll start with yourself, Ailish. What would your favourite light bite lunch be?
Oh, I like to make a frittata. I like to just throw everything into an egg and put it in the oven and eat it and cook it and I like it. But last night I made it was such a miserable night, so I made a big huge pot of homemade vegetable soup. So I'm having that today for my lunch after this. But usually I would cook up a frittata with onions and peppers and all sorts of nice Slimming World stuff.
Very good. And what about yourself, John? What would be your go-to for a quick bite at lunchtime?
Steak. If anybody follows any of my social media, every Saturday is just steak porn. Higgins Butchers and Sutton. But I think things like Italian food, because my father-in-law is Italian, so, and a chef, a retired chef, so, you know, it's handy to kind of pop in there and to be fed. So anything around even calamari and stuff like that I really like. And the way he does it in Scampi as well, he does all of his prawns in the shell and they're incredible. So yeah, that sort of stuff is fresh, anything fresh and nice like that.
Good. And Maggie, what about you? What would you go for?
I love to have a wrap most of the time at lunchtime. So our local shop sells the big, huge ones, and you can get a decent amount of salad and maybe a bit of ham or chicken or whatever's in the fridge. And that's it. And a decent cup of coffee, a decent mug of coffee.
Yeah.
Don't like cups.
Very, very important. And what about yourself, Trish?
Well, depends if I'm being quick. I like a poached egg on toast or something like that. But if I'm a bit more adventurous, I like to put a mashed avocado on some sourdough, then put a bit of rocket on it, and then put the poached egg on top of that. That's really nice. But like Maggie, I also like a wrap now and again.
That's interesting. I've never come across mixing avocado with poached egg.
It's lovely. I had it in a restaurant once, in a cafe in Moat, actually, and I thought that's a bit nice. So I did it at home when I came back. So I stole the idea, really.
Hey, it doesn't matter where it came from. If it works for you, then run with it.
Absolutely.
And what about yourself, Sarah?
A friend of mine is in advertising. He says, "Borrow like a thief." So it's,
Yeah.
I'm a typical slimming worlder, and it would have to be a calzone omelette. So using your omelette flats, putting everything that you love into it, peppers, mushrooms, onions, and then putting tomato puree on top and topping it with cheese is just to die for. Yum.
Sounds nice.
Absolutely very nice. Some nice different range of bits and pieces there. Right, well, it's come to that time in proceedings where we're going to take a very quick ad break, and then we'll be back with everyone.
Okay.
In recent years, our Christmas glass baubles have been hugely popular. They can be personalised in any way you choose. Because these treasured keepsakes are each handmade, you can include any names, dates, or messages that are personal to you. These handmade delights are now available to order on our website, mayocalligraphy.ie, or by calling me, Maggie, at 086 1718 330. We are delighted to introduce our personalised festive stemware. These wine glasses are ideal gifts and can include names, dates and occasions, or you could choose your family surname and raise your decor to the next level. Produced here in County Mayo, there will be no issues with customs charges or supply chain problems. Order online at mayocalligraphy.ie or call 086 1718 330.
And once again, thanks very much to Maggie for being the sponsor of the show for the next month, and we're really delighted she could do it for us. So we're going to get on, having just looked at the ad there, we're going to talk about personalised gifts. And we've all heard the horror stories of going onto these numerous websites and you're ordering something and they're promising you the sun, moon and stars, and what actually arrives in the package is nothing more than a few pieces of glitter. So when it comes to personalised gifts, what would you say to people are the things they should be looking out for? Any of the panel at all, because you're all in that type of business, so what would you say to people they should be watching out for?
I think if somebody was saying that they wanted a certain thing to ask, if the person is not asking you what you actually want and is the colours right and is the font right and all those kind of things, you just don't want to say I want that one and not add that actual personal touch to it. So yeah, make sure that people are asking what exactly that you want as the customer.
And just making sure that they send, a proof before they print or seal it, for approval. I do that all the time because, sometimes invariably, if you're busy, you could have a spelling mistake or you could do the wrong font. And if you send it for approval, it's seen. So making sure that whoever you're buying from sends you a proof first, you approve it, and then you're getting exactly what you want.
Absolutely. We do the same because I make, we have our own range of stamps and I make custom stamps. So yeah, I always send out a proof for that to make sure we get it right, because now and again I make a mistake, we're only human.
Yeah. I had to do that as well. I put in a print approval form and the client has to sign it or email it back and say they understand that that's especially for printed goods, because then if there is an error, we didn't see this misspelling or something isn't in the right line, well, you've just approved it. So
yes,
that's from experience that you have to do that. I'd also say that if I was ordering something that was personalized, there should be no limit on the amount of tryouts or mock-ups that you do.
No.
Sometimes if you're ordering something like the personalized stamp, you come up with maybe 2 or 3 ideas and I'm expected then to pick one of them. But that shouldn't be. If you're getting something handmade personally for you, it doesn't matter how many times I have to remake it and redo it. Now I do put numbers on the tryout. So if I'm emailing you tryout 9 and tryout 10, it's getting close to time that you should make up your mind. But a lot of the bigger commercial houses will only allow you 1 or 2 tryouts, and that's it. They start charging you after that for design fees.
No, I have no limit on how many times you can change the stamp before we have it made, you know. So
Well,
we get it
within reason, you know. You do
yes,
get
within reason.
within
But
reason.
people usually only take 3 or 4 goes and then they're happy.
Yeah, this is it. Will you try and tie it down to what actually people are looking for? I find that's the most difficult part.
Yes,
my job.
yes. And trying to
People
understand
don't know
the type
what
of
they
font they're
want.
looking for. Yeah.
They don't know
Exactly.
what they want. They want something, but they don't know what it is.
Or they'll tell
Well,
you
that's
we want this kind of font, but you don't actually know what they mean by that.
Yeah.
You know.
Or how often do you get people coming along who say, well, listen, I'm not quite sure how to describe what I want, but here's a whole list of things I don't want.
Yes, they do that sometimes. Yeah.
I used to photograph weddings, and people used to arrive, and I'd be having meetings with brides and grooms and stuff like that, and they'd be showing you pictures of a couple standing on top of Everest, you know, on the top of a mountain in the Alps somewhere.
And that's what they wanted.
And they're like, I want this, and you're like, you're getting married in Finglas in June. What is it about? I know you like it, but what is it about it you like? You know, it's trying to extract that. I think one thing that I'd say for no matter what it is, any bespoke gift, if you can buy it locally, you know, because, you know, I probably say it 1,000 times a week. We do for the good of the village, everybody benefits. You know, that's the sort of stuff that comes back on you too. And we're keeping everything local, supporting local businesses, supporting local people, and they will then champion you in the same way. So you're not just buying a bespoke gift, you're creating a relationship with somebody who is quite local to you, or like from your town or from your village or from your county, or even in country, you know, in Ireland or up in Northern Ireland where Zara is. You know, it's important to connect and to work with these people because, you know, it's due for the good of the village, everybody benefits, especially in times like this. You know, the metal concept is still very much alive in Ireland, I think, and it's very good.
Absolutely. Well, Trish, we actually have a comment has come in there for you.
Oh.
Michelle Griffin, Trish, you know, my personal stamp right first time.
That's one of my L's from the design team. If you have a look on our page, she makes the most beautiful cards from our stamps. Thank you, Michelle, or Michelle, we call her.
Michelle. Very good. And I mean, what else? Aside from, as John said, making sure to get people out there buying local and supporting local. Any other advice you'd say to people? And of course, book now to have stuff for Christmas, because we all know what happened with the post last year and the mess that there was. And again, as a large part of that was down to sheer demand and the post office with COVID restrictions not having the same number of people in. But I mean, like for example, Eilish, when would you take your last orders for Christmas?
Well, it depends. If it's a personalised piece, I would probably, I always go by the last posting date. So if the last posting date is, say, the 22nd, then I would have to take my last order on the 18th. You know, give me a few days to make it, depending on my workload. Like if I'm really, really busy, fingers crossed I will be this year. If I'm really busy, I'd have to push it back a little bit and probably close. I like to close around the 15th if I can for my custom orders. But locally, people can pop in. I had a gentleman pop in, not last Christmas, but the Christmas before, on Christmas morning, and go, what have you left? You haven't in the house. So like I don't mind anybody popping in right up to Christmas to the house, or, you know, messaging me and meeting me outside. But for postage, we have to go with the final date before Christmas.
And what about yourself, Trish? When do you try and have the last of the personalised orders in for Christmas?
Well, to be honest, we are more busy with the supply side of the business, so I don't do as many custom orders as the other people here. Most of mine will be done by the first week of December, when we have our Christmas fair, and that's usually when I send the last of it. We might get the odd order in for some Christmas cards, but usually, strangely enough, people are buying supplies off me to make their own crafts early. So when it comes to December, we actually go a little quieter than most people, rather than get as busy as everybody else. Our busiest time, strangely, is July, which is, you know, Christmas in July. So yes, it's quite strange for me.
That's when I started buying my stuff for Christmas.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. That's the traditional launch time, isn't it? So I'm designing stamps in April and May for Christmas, which is quite strange.
Fabulous, though. You kind of have Christmas all year. Right.
The Santa suit sitting 6 feet away from where I am right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I actually posted a video on Instagram last week or the week before, joking about shops having Christmas stock in before Halloween even happened. But I did the whole video wearing a Santa suit, just because that's what goes on in my head.
We always get comments in July from people who aren't crafters, who don't understand why we're selling Christmas stuff so early. And I think because the crafters have to buy their stuff to get it ready in time. You know, it's no good buying it now, is it? So, yeah. So every year we have someone, what? You can't be advertising Christmas already.
Because it takes a varied amount of time depending on what obviously something is. And something could be, you know, a quicker make, or it actually might need, you know, extra things ordering in. So you are
exactly. And it gets to this time of year now, October, we can't get more supplies in from outside of Ireland. It's just they won't come now.
Yeah, so supplies are very tight this year anyway.
That's it.
Have you found that, Trish? An awful lot of stuff is.
Yeah, it has been quite difficult. Yeah.
And I would normally get the bigger Christmas baubles, like the 10 centimeter ones, those ones, hammers front, those big ones that are the size of your fist. I have 50 of them, and that is it. There are no more in the world. And I would bring those in, as you say, July, August. I would normally bring them in from a place we won't mention, a country that's out east. So now we're left with 8 centimeter ones. Now they look big if you haven't seen the 10 centimeter ones.
Yeah.
But they just aren't in it. They're not being manufactured and they're not being sold. And I have found that with an awful lot of the stuff that I would use as raw materials for this year.
And what about your paper? Is anybody having difficulty getting paper?
I'm having huge difficulty with paper and card. Huge.
John, you must be too.
Yeah.
I don't print anything. Actually, I have been for the last year. I was working on a cookbook, and they had a lot of issues around paper as well. So the book went to print last week. It's on pre-order actually, but there was only enough paper for 3,000 books.
That's not
where they initially wanted a much bigger supply of books, and I think most of what was already kind of put up as pre-order was already sold. So very few left. But they were warned, look, there's only enough paper for 3,000 books. There's not enough paper for any more. Of this type of paper for the thing. So it's commercial printing. There's huge problems as well.
Yeah.
I think that goes for saying if somebody wants something made and you see it, do that order, you know, there, because the likelihood is we won't have it near to Christmas.
No.
Because unfortunately, there is so many issues.
Yeah, we won't be able to get the supplies in to make it.
I see Monique is asking, why is there an issue with paper?
Production.
Yeah,
so everything slowed down. Factories slowed down, paper production slowed down, recycling slowed down, pretty much everything slowed down. And then there was issues with, like, a lot of it is coming from kind of out east, as you said, Maggie. So like there was a lot of issues then with the Suez Canal being blocked up on top of all of the COVID knock-on effects from the COVID thing. So there was a huge delay with supply chain for everything. It's not even just paper. Paper is just one thing that I wasn't aware of it being, in short supply. And we all laughed when people were panic buying toilet roll. They were reporting the house. You're like, I'm laughing at you there going, ha ha ha, do you want to print a book? You might be on toilet paper next year. I'm buying it from some Elwyn and Finglas who has tons of it. But it's just a knock-on effect from all of the things that have happened through COVID and with supply chain, manufacturing, initial production into the actual production into supply chain out. Even I ordered a kayak from America. It's supposed to come through Europe from the States, and that was in May, and it arrived last week.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
the containers are the problem. They're in the wrong places, I think.
Yeah, and even the production had slowed down so much. The factories had shut, so the place that makes the kayaks had shut down completely because of COVID. And then once it reopened, they had a backlog of orders that they had to fulfill. And then once that was done, then it went into kind of standard production again. But they're still trying to fill back orders. So
It impacts massively on costings and delivery as well.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Well,
it really
it's
does.
quite surprising. I was talking to a man in the motor trade during the week, and he has actually found it is now cheaper for him to buy second-hand cars in Australia and ship them to Ireland. It
Right.
takes them. It takes 2 weeks longer than if he buys them in the UK, and he's able to buy them 30% cheaper after he takes on his travel costs.
Well, funny you should say that. Recently, I've been having trouble getting supplies from the UK from Brexit,
Yeah.
and I'm actually getting supplies from America quicker than from the UK now.
Mhm.
We had a postage took a solid month to get from the UK to here. Now
Yes.
I don't know whether it was a small package, a solid month,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Michelle there's just saying that shipping from Ireland to New York via
Yeah.
post is taking over a month now. So
It is the postage everywhere.
Took
I
forever.
sent off my
Yeah.
son's Christmas box. He's in Australia. I sent it off this week because
Hmm.
we at least a month, if not more, to get to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
And
sent
Michelle's
stuff,
Australian post has
absolutely
cut down an awful lot of their deliveries.
Yeah. Yeah.
we've sent stuff to Germany and to Italy as well from home to friends and family over there, and all the way through this, and the same kind of thing. It's taken 6 weeks or a month or more to send something that would normally take a couple of days, and it's being flown over as well. It's not like it's going over on a boat, like it's being flown across airmail, and it's still not arriving. So
well, the Micro Business Awards UK finals are on in 2 weeks' time, and Maggie actually delivered the certs to me here a couple of weeks ago for both Ireland and the UK, and I was actually afraid to post them over in case they don't arrive. So what I'm actually doing, I'm driving over next week to actually deliver them, so that to make sure they have the certs there to send out to everyone once the winners are announced. And it just seems totally bizarre. And I mean,
Yeah.
even from Northern Ireland, it's taking an age for stuff to get to the UK.
Or people are just not willing to send, unfortunately. I'm finding a lot from getting my craft blanks, people just say no,
Mhm.
can't send
Yeah.
it.
But the
But
same
the
with
Irish
some
postal
supplies
system
I've
is
lost.
working. The Irish system is working because I sent Rory the glasses. They were there in less than 24 hours. So it's
Yeah.
not on the Irish end that that is broken.
No, absolutely. And so, moving on then to another subject. Trish, you mentioned there about having your big craft fair coming up in December. What type of stalls can people expect to see when they arrive in?
We have all sorts of things. There are jewellery makers, there are people selling candles and wax melts, there are people who do wood crafts, people who make soaps, we have knitters and crocheters, everything you could think of, really. Maggie?
I'm
Yeah,
not
all
selling
kinds of
myself.
things. No, not selling yourself, selling your glasses, I hope. But yeah, a bit of everything, even skincare, yeah, so many things. It's been going on now for, well, obviously we didn't do last year, so the last one was in 2019, but it would be 10 years that they've been going on, so it's quite well
Wow.
established now, which is nice.
Yeah, and I mean,
And we
there's
have,
always, again,
yeah, and
the
you
Sleeve
come
Russell
quite
isn't
often,
too
Rory.
far away from me. Yes, the Sleeve Russell isn't too far away from me,
No.
so I've dropped into several of them, and I
You
have to
have.
say,
Yeah.
I've always ended up spending more money than I intended to going in there.
It's a sign of a good pair. Well done, Trish.
And it's such a beautiful venue as well. It is beautiful in
Yeah,
there.
and again, like in saying that, when I say about spending more, it's not that the items I was buying were expensive. There
No,
was just such a fabulous range. You couldn't leave stuff behind.
it's
So,
also
I mean, certainly,
unique.
as I
That's
said-
the point, isn't it? You know,
Yes. So, what time is your fair on? When is it on? How can people get
It's-
in touch with you?
yep. So on Sunday, the 5th of December, it's in the Sleeve Russell Hotel in Ballyconnell. It's on from 12 till 5. If you want information, you can go onto our website. That's downlandcrafts.ie. And all the information is on there. Even if you want to book or just come as a visitor, the information is there. Or just send me a message and I'll answer you.
Great. Well, as I said, I'm certainly looking forward to it because there's always such a great range to be found there. And
There is, yeah. And we've some, you know, of the old faces, we get a lot of regulars that have been coming since the beginning. But we always have new people as well. So it's nice. You get a nice mix of old and new, which is good.
I hope to attend.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'll actually be able to maybe speak to you face to face then.
Absolutely.
great. Well, and what about craft fairs in general? Do you all get out do many? Are you looking for some, or is there some you found you've gone to and you've gone right? I'm never doing this again.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's always a bit hit and miss. You never know,
It
know?
is, yeah. I did one in Belmullet a couple of years ago, a Christmas craft fair. It was outside on the streets of Belmullet. I have never been so cold in all my life. The wind was coming in straight off the Atlantic, all the way from New York, right into where I was sitting. It was famishing. It was like a European Christmas market, but with wide Atlantic storms.
Yeah.
Delightful. I'll never do it again.
No, we'll never do outdoor ones again.
Indoors.
I've just started an outdoor market. Our first one started last Saturday, and it's in Edenderry, in the square in Edenderry in County Offaly. And we all have the same gazebos, and it was really lovely. I mean, it was really beautiful. Offaly County Council were great in helping us get it together. But my tent was the very first one, and we were all tied together now. The wind whipped through, and every 2 minutes my tent was lifting. I just said, all I have to do is click my heels and I'll be right back home. But it was lovely, and we're doing it every Saturday from now till Christmas, and we'll be there the night the Christmas lights are being turned on. So that'll be gorgeous. So, it's very exciting, very new, but very cold.
Yeah.
And what about yourself, John? Would you be a fan of these Christmas fairs, going and having a look around, or?
Yeah, of course. Look, it's like I love anything like that. You get out and you can kind of mix in around people and have a look at what's going on. And like even here, I know there was the Christmas fair that they did over in the IFSC. It was very good, and you could have a few drinks at it as well. And then the same. It's basically Oktoberfest, but they're selling Christmas stuff. There's a smell of cinnamon instead of a smell of sausages. And then they did it around Stephen's Green then a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. Actually, when you're talking about craft fairs, I just got this weird flashback to going to a craft fair down in Temple Bar when I only started making photographs commercially. Somebody asked me to photograph a craft fair it was kind of a little press thing. And I remember taking a photograph. Somebody had a newspaper clipping tied to it had basically been stitched to some felt and covered over, and the headline on it was, "What if Jesus was an alcoholic bisexual?" And I'll never forget it. It's the most random thing that I'd ever seen in my life. That was cool. It was all kind of covered over, but I was thinking, God, will I take a picture of that or not? I did. I ended up posting that on Facebook, but one of those kind of strange things that I saw. But very cool. But yeah, no, I definitely do like going to craft fairs. Anything like that at all is great. Antiques fairs, or any of those kind of swap meets and secondhand markets and stuff like that, because you're giving life to something that somebody's put effort into,
Yeah.
And not something's come off a production line that nobody actually cared about.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that always stood out with me was walking around in George's Market in Belfast, and virtually every single stall, a big sign up, strictly no photography allowed.
Yeah.
And purely because there was people going in, snapping photos randomly, predominantly, and let's call it what it is, to rip off designs.
Yeah, that does happen.
Has the internet made that a lot worse, or is that something that it's a lot more exaggerated than the actual problem really is?
Well, it's not borrow look at these thing again, isn't it? It's like, people are just stealing images and posting them anywhere they want. Even there's commercial companies now that are posting things that are taken from comedy shows. They're making T-shirts and the whole lot out of it. And they're not paying anything forward or paying it back towards the actors who are in it or the production crews or any of those people don't see anything from it, you know. There's a lot of things out there like that at the moment, and it's just easy because who's going to chase it up, you know? Unless the company gets super big and then they can kind of chase it up. But at that stage, how far has it gone? You know, beyond the point of kind of legal action and stuff. You know, how far does it go? You know, and how much is it going to cost to challenge it? And the same with like a lot of these kind of websites and stuff, like that kayak company. I've seen stuff with them. There's ads being posted on. I don't know if my sound is gone, but my camera is. You know, seeing ads from them during the summer when kayaking is like people are buying kayaks, and it's basically a fraud ad from some Chinese company that sends you out a little toy about this big, or they send you out. So it's people are paying thousands of euros for a kayak, and it's not actually a kayak; it's just a stolen video offline. You know, but it's because of the internet. You know, there's always going to be crime. There's always going to be somebody who's going to take a chance, and just the internet exaggerates it and makes the marketplace for that international. You know, it's unfortunate.
Again, that's another one of the reasons why shopping local, having a relationship with the person who's making your piece, you know you're getting good quality and exactly what you're looking for. You're not getting a little tiny kayak, you know.
Yeah, buy local, you know, and you know who you're dealing with. People buy people fundamentally as well, and they buy based on the story. Yeah.
Now, before we actually came on air, John, you were telling us about your wonderful Halloween decorations.
Yeah.
Do share.
Yeah, our house changes from season to season into all sorts of different things. My wife is probably watching this, and I got to go home and have to sleep in the car.
Well, you'll have the skeleton for company.
Yeah, great. Oh, delightful. Actually, I'm not sure if I have a picture of this thing in my phone, but we have a little doll thing in the house, and I'm gonna see if I can find it so I can show you on screen if I can, because this is one of the things that tends to float around our house at Halloween. Can you see that? If it's not too bright or blown out.
If you can send it to me.
Can't see it.
If you can send it over to me on WhatsApp there, John, and I'll actually be able to share it on screen here.
Yeah. I won't spoil the surprise until I send it, but it's we have a a skeleton in the driveway that the neighbours' dogs are terrified of. It's a head, 2 arms and legs, and they're like pitchforked into the ground. The whole house is Halloween at the moment, and when Christmas comes around, there's 17 storage boxes come out of the attic, and the whole house turns into Christmas. So at the moment, the house is covered in Halloween stuff. It's hanging everywhere, and all of the awful-looking witches and stuff. We keep saying, "Oh look," to my nieces and nephews, "There's your Auntie Vivian," talking about my wife, and they just laugh. Yeah. There's John sleeping in the car when he goes home.
You won't even have the neighbours' dogs to keep you company.
Yeah.
We have 2 Bijons, and then all the neighbours. Our estate is just full of dogs at the moment because all the neighbours all got dogs during COVID and stuff. One of them got 2 sausage dogs, one called Ishbini and the other one's called Fodder. So Ishbini, if you don't know, is the Irish word for sausages, and Fodder is the Irish word for long. So there's these 2 little. There we go. This we're going to use this for Christmas as well because it's Halloween Dead Jesus. How awful is that?
Oh dear.
Halloween Dead Jesus. This is the stuff that goes on in our house.
I even have Halloween duvet covers and throws and sheets and towels.
Oh, that's happens in our house. All the plates go away for Christmas, and all the Christmas plates come out. Christmas balls, Christmas everything.
Yeah.
And the same.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love a break from the norm, and I love to get excited about something that, you know, it just makes life more fun, lads. You know, throw on a Halloween duvet cover. I have spider towels for my bathroom.
I only posted a video online the other day on LinkedIn and told everybody where Halloween comes from, and it comes from a cave in Roscommon.
Yes. I actually read that. on only the other day, yesterday, I think I read that.
Yeah,
Was
John
that you
Cleese
who
did a great
posted that?
show on RTE, and he shows it. So it's called Owen the Gotha or Onigat, and it's a cave. Well, it's basically a hole underneath a tree in a field. But resilient Irish. We'll make anything out of something.
Yeah.
That screams of, go on, give me a bottle of whiskey and I'll show you what this is all about. And that's where Halloween comes from. So Queen Maeve used to send men down. Well, men. When I say men, you got your first chest hair, lads. So off you go down the cave, and you're going to come back a warrior, mental, because you've been down there in isolation in a cave for 2 weeks, and to deal with their demons, basically. So they were basically talking to themselves in the dark and came back out. Supposed to be that this cave was the gap between the underworld and the living, and you dealt with all the demons and the spirits and everything down there. And when you came back out, you were wild and ready to kill stuff, which 2 weeks in a dark, cold cave will do. We all know what cabin fever is like. We had it all the way through COVID.
Oh, yeah.
How demented you go? Yeah. COVID, the new Halloween. There you go.
So, something as we've a wide range of experiences in a whole range of industries here, so you're the right group to ask this to. If somebody was to come along and say to you, look, I have this great idea for a business, right? It doesn't matter what type of business it is, whether it's connected with what you do or it's not. What advice would you give to someone who's sitting at home watching this at the moment thinking, I really would love to start my own business? Anyone I want to
Go for it.
Mhm.
Go for it. Believe in yourself, believe in your idea, and go for it. I mean, obviously, do your research, do your planning, but don't let anybody talk you out of it. You just go for it. You never know what will happen.
Success might not happen overnight. Well,
No,
it doesn't
it
happen
never does.
overnight, sorry.
No.
But keeping going no matter what, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I'm 35 years at it, so something is working at some point.
Everybody used to tell me I was mad when I said I was only going to photograph people like headshots, and I was going to give up all the weddings and all the other bits and pieces. And they were like, "Well, I think you're mad. You're mad. You'll never make money doing all of that." I'm sitting probably 150 feet from Grafton Street in the studio at the moment. And the rent's not cheap, and everything else is not cheap, and camera equipment is not cheap. But I still managed to pay my bills, and I still managed to live comfortably. Because I had the full belief in myself as to what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it. And the most important thing was why I wanted to do it. And it's always going to be the why. So if you're sitting at home thinking, I want to start my own business and I think I should start my own business, just step outside the 6 inches that's around your own ankles and go and do it. Fear is limiting yourself, or fear is taking the chance on it. Use the stress that you have in starting your business as the excitement factor, and to drive you with the kind of fuel that you need and the adrenaline you need to do it. And if you fall on your arse, do what kids do. Get back up, do it again, or go back to your job. There's people screaming out. If you do fail, you can always go back and go get a job in a pub or restaurant because they're screaming out for people. Supermarkets, and then when you get the confidence back, go and do it again. Try again, because you get to reinvent yourself as many times as you want over your life.
Absolutely.
How you walk in the skin you wear is your decision, so you might as well be enjoying it.
Well, as the old saying goes, the only thing no means is next opportunity.
Yeah. What was the thing about? I was going to say Alexander Graham Bell. Your man that did the light bulb. It was either him or somebody else. But he had somebody had said to him, how does it feel to have finally succeeded after you failed so many times? He said, I didn't fail so many times. He said, none of them were failures. They were just steps to me getting it right the last time. Because that's all anything is. There's steps towards you getting it right. Failed relationships aren't failed relationships. They're just steps towards you finding yourself and finding the person that you were supposed to be with.
Yeah, the only way you fail is when you actually give up.
When you stop.
Yeah.
As opposed to failing, you just found another way that doesn't work, so you move on to plan B. And if plan B doesn't work, don't worry, there's another 24 letters in the alphabet after that, and then you can go into double letters if necessary.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember pulling up kayaking for work one morning. I go out first thing every morning, and I do about 7.5 kilometers. And I remember getting off the water one morning, and some old man came along with his dog, and it looked like I was only after getting into the boat. And he said, "Oh, well, you got to go all the way around, in the estuary." And I said, "No, I'm done. I'm finished. I'm just about to get out of the boat." And he said, "You never regret going, but you'll always regret not going." And I just thought, yeah, you're right. And it's the same in anything. If you don't do it, it's always the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I should have done this. I should have done that. Maybe you should have given it a go. When you didn't, you'll always regret that. But if you jump up and you give it a crack, and even if you fail, you go, "Well, I gave it a go. It didn't work.
Absolutely.
We can always do it again. We can always do something different."
Well, time is very quickly running out on us, so I just want to ask each of you very quickly. Now, I will post all the details after the show so that we know how to contact you, but how can people get in touch with you? So, Eilish, we'll start with yourself.
Okay, well, I'm on all social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and I'm She Jewellery. So it's SI Father, She meaning the Irish for fairies, and I have blue fairy wings as my logo, but I have a new website, I'm delighted to say, and it's, yeah, I know, and it's She Jewellery Ireland, so sijewelleryireland.com. And it's a lovely website, so even if you don't want to buy anything, just check it out because it's gorgeous.
Great. And John, what about yourself? Best way to contact you?
All of my social links are on johnmurrayheadshots.com. And if you want to buy that book that I was mentioning earlier, it's by Michael's in Mount Marion and Higgins Butchers in Sutton. The place that sells all the Japanese Kobe beef. It's that's on andformains.ie. But you can get all that on johnmurrayheadshots.com as well.
Great. And Sarah, for anyone that wants to make contact with you?
On Facebook mostly, wildflower prints, and it's obviously a picture of flowers.
Great. And Trish?
I'm on all of them, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Downland Crafts, and for the handmade stuff, it's Downland Crafts Handmade.
Brilliant. And Maggie?
The same as that, Rory. I'm on all of the social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Don't forget TikTok. And that all links back to my website, mayocalligraphy.ie, or you can phone me. The phone number is on all of the social media as well.
Great. Well, we will at the end of the show put all of those up. I really want to thank you all for taking the time today. I know how busy you all are between different projects going on and whatnot, and appreciate you taking the time to come and join us today. So we will be back in 2 weeks' time, where we'll have another group of guests and we'll be talking about a whole range more subjects. And who knows, if someone listening or watching would like to become a guest on the show at any stage, there is no charge to appear. It is all about helping businesses promote each other, and working together we'll build a much stronger business community. So do feel free to get in touch. And on that, I would wish you all a very good afternoon, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.